Hello everyone, and welcome to this review of the last year of the Publishing Performance Show. It's been a fantastic year, and I'd really like to say thank you to everybody who has listened to the show, who's sent me emails, given me feedback, who's recommended guests. For those of you who have been guests, I'd like to say a big thank you as well. And I thought I would just do this show to give you a bit of a rundown of what I went through last year and what the plan is for the year coming up. And at the end of the show, at the end of this episode, there is a little treat for you all. So hang on till the end of the episode and I will share that with you. But I thought I'd start with a bit of a review of 2024. So 2024 was quite a big year for me. I had a baby. And so that was quite a big change in my life. I've got now a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. And you know what? That's been a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. 2 is much more difficult than, 1 times 2. It's been a bit of a big change, but I've really enjoyed it. And that's been the biggest thing that's happened to me this year. But also, obviously, we started this podcast. Now, I started this podcast as a bit of fun, just to try and speak to more authors, to speak to more people in the publishing industry. I wanted to learn myself. I wanted to learn a bit more about how the publishing industry worked. I wanted to speak to some cool guests, and I wanted to just learn and meet new people. I never really thought it would go quite as big as it has. And, each episode now is getting hundreds of downloads, and we're getting thousands of people subscribed to the YouTube channel and to the Instagram and to the socials. And each episode's had some great feedback, and I've loved hearing that feedback from you all. So please keep that coming. So that's been a big start for me. And some of the highlights of that show have been speaking to some amazing people and much bigger guests than I ever thought I'd be able to speak to in my first year. Some of my favorite episodes were with some huge authors like Susie Quinn and Kevin J. Anderson, spoke to Craig Martell, James Blatch. We also spoke to some massive software industry people such as Pro Writing Aid, Lulu.com, and many others. So it's been amazing to get such great insights from all these good guests. And I've learned loads, and I've actually implemented lots of the stuff that people have talked about in my own publishing business. So it's been fantastic to get to speak to these amazing industry people. Another highlight of the year was going to Author Nation, which was a trade show in Las Vegas. Now, if you haven't had a chance to hear my episodes from Author Nation, you can go back and listen to some of the live episodes from Author Nation. There's some really good ones there with some really interesting authors. And you can hear all about what Author Nation's about. Now, if you are thinking about going to a conference, especially if you're in America, I would really recommend going to Author Nation. There's some great talks. You can meet awesome people. You can go out to Las Vegas and have a few too many drinks and have a bit of fun. But it was a really good time to go to Las Vegas and to meet all those cool people. So I'm definitely going to try and go back this year and hopefully to record some more live episodes from that show too. Now, some of the other highlights of this year is in my own publishing business. So now I have 22 books published, and they're all doing quite well. And a lot of them I've worked a lot on the marketing for those books by improving my newsletter, which was something I learned from one of the episodes I spoke to guests about. I've done a lot of the marketing with the social media as well, so promoting those books through different channels. I've also done a look at updating some of the covers after speaking to Rebecca Haskell and some other people. I've changed some of the covers of my book to get them to convert a bit higher, and I've actually seen those conversion rates improve. So just by implementing some of the stuff I've learned from these shows, I've actually been able to improve my books. So I'm really proud of being able to publish those 22 books on Amazon and in other places as well. And now the brand is growing overall. So it was a really big year for working on my own book brands too. And on top of that, Publishing Performance, the software that we've worked on, the advertising AI software, is going from strength to strength. We've got lots of people using it and having really great success with that now. And the tool, if you haven't heard about it, basically uses AI to be your Amazon ad account manager. Now, if you're new to doing Amazon ads or you don't really know how to do it, then having an AI assistant to basically set up your account, to set up your ad campaigns, to run the campaigns, optimize them over time, and to aim to reduce that ACoS and increase your sales over time is an absolutely fantastic way to run your ads. And we've had some really great feedback from the software, and we've made some changes to how the algorithm works as well so that it can work more effectively for you guys that are using it. In my own business, I've been using it for the ads and it's been working really well. So I'm really happy with how that's gone. So Publishing Performance has been a really good highlight of this year. Now, 2025 is a big year for me because I want to really, really grow this podcast into something that is quite big. So my plan is to create more content for the show, for the podcast platform, but also especially for YouTube, which is where we're going to be showing most of the shows. Now, each of the episodes has been with either an author or an industry person, but we're going to start switching it up a little bit over the next year. So we're going to do each week, we're going to have one episode which is with an author or a publisher, and another episode which is with someone who's an industry insider. Now, each of those episodes are going to be slightly different in their format, but still familiar. There's still going to be interviews and we're still going to be learning. But the episodes with the authors, I'm hoping they're going to be quite inspirational. I'm hoping to get some big guests so that we can speak to some really good authors who have had great success with their books, and we can learn exactly the steps they did to write their books and to get them successful. And then with the industry people, we're going to be learning about the software or the tools that they use and some tips and tricks for basically learning how to sell more of your books, which is why you're here in the first place. It's what we all want to do. We all want to sell more books. And so in those episodes, we're going to be learning a bit more about that. Then we're going to be adding a third episode each week, which is going to be me or me with one other person, possibly sometimes, but mostly just with me, where I talk about something I've learned about in the publishing world. So it could be something I've learned from a conference, or it could be a new tip or trick, or it could be just a very small learning about how to do something on Amazon, for example. And in those episodes, they're going to be very much about learning. Now, with all of this new content, we're revamping the website as well. So the blog is going to be massively updated so that there's going to be lots more links so that you can understand a bit more about the people I've interviewed and you can easily go and see a bit more about them. And also you can easily access joining my newsletter as well, where we're going to be speaking a lot about different things that are happening in the publishing world. Now, the last thing that I want to be planning for this year is speaking at some more conferences. Now, there's a lot of conferences, and I'm definitely going to be going to the one in London, but there's lots of conferences around the world that are all about self-publishing and publishing books. Now, my aim for this year is to try and speak at some, talking about Amazon advertising, or maybe growing your podcast as an author, maybe being a guest as a podcast as an author, or possibly something else to do with Amazon, but really want to start putting myself out there a bit more. And of course, when I learn about getting invited to speak at conferences, I'll talk about it all on this channel so that you can get that learning as well. So the plan for this year is to do all these things and to aim to try and grow the subscription base. So I've got a few goals that I wanted to do. And the first one is to make the episodes a bit funnier. Now, in my normal life, I like to think at least that I'm a bit of a funny person. I like having lighthearted conversations, and I do try to bring that lighthearted elements to the conversations. But sometimes when you're talking about quite dry business topics, it is hard to inject that level of humor when you're talking about keywords or you're talking about, different KPIs for your ad campaigns. I understand that those aren't particularly funny things. So the plan is to try and add a bit of element of humor to it. And that's one of my goals for this year. And I'll only be able to do that, I guess, when I get feedback from you guys. And by the end of the year, I want to get each episode to be averaging over 1,000 downloads for each episode. That's quite a stretch goal for me, I think. At the moment, we're in the few hundred, so it would be quite a big change to get that to over 1,000. But I think it's doable, especially by doing more work, by promoting the podcast on YouTube, Instagram, and especially on LinkedIn. As I mentioned, I'd like to speak at 2 conferences. That would be the plan by the end of the year, and I think that is absolutely doable. The other goal is to build the YouTube subscribers to 10,000 people subscribed to the channel. Now, the reason I'm telling you these things is because I want to make it a goal that you can listen to, and then I can have some accountability so that by the end of the year, I can tell you whether I've achieved them or not. And then you'll be able to hear exactly the steps I was able to do to achieve them so that you can then do it yourself if you want to. And the last one, which is the little treat that I was telling you about at the beginning of the show, is we're going to be doing some live talks with some amazing guests just for people who are subscribed. Now, all of these talks are going to be on YouTube first. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, now will be a great chance to search for Teddy A.G. Smith or search for Publishing Performance Show on YouTube and subscribe to there, because we're going to be doing some YouTube lives shows with some amazing guests. I've got some really good guests lined up starting from next month, and I think you're going to find them really interesting, and it'll be a chance for you to even ask some questions of some of the guests who I'm talking to. Now, these are going to be people who are talking at big conferences, who own big software companies. Some of them are going to be huge authors, but they're going to be people that you want to be listening to if you want to learn how to sell more books this year. So if you can, do me a massive favor, go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can just search Teddy A.G. Smith or search for the Publishing Performance Show, and you can find it on there. And if you subscribe to Instagram as well, you should also be able to find links to where you can join those shows later on. But those are my goals for the year. So get to 1,000 listens, speak to 1,000 listens per episode, speak at 2 conferences, build YouTube to 10,000 people, write more books. I forgot to say that. I've got plans to write more books for my meditation brand as well. And that's those are I've already sort of written the outlines to those, and those are ready to be written. And then start these live talks for my subscribers. Now, I've got a question for you all. If you could let me know your goals for the year, I'd love to hear what your plans are, and we can talk about them in a show one day as well. But let me know your plans for the year. So have you got any goals for writing books? Have you got any goals for other things for your business to start, building your exposure? Have you got any topics you'd really like to hear about? Have you got any people you think would be great guests for me? Do you know any famous authors, more importantly, that I can interview on the show? If you have any information like that, or you want to share your goals with me, or you want to share a great interview guest with me, or there's a particular topic you want to hear about, send me an email, message me on Instagram, or you can email me, teddy@publishingperformance.com. I respond to all my emails, so my email's now out there, so you can now send me a message. But yeah, let me know, and I'll be eternally grateful for any help you can give me. But thank you all so much for listening. I think it's going to be a great year. 2025 is going to be a huge year. I'm over the worst of the baby problems of this first 6 months are out of the way. So I'm really happy to start moving on with my professional life. And I'd like to wish you all a really happy new year. I'm really looking forward to this year. But please get in touch. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can hear first about the live events. And I will hopefully see you in one of these live events very, very soon. Happy New Year, everyone, and see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance podcast. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, let me tell you about Publishing Performance, the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales, but are not really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books. And if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximize your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalized ad account manager to create your ad campaigns, to choose your best keywords, and to make adjustments in real time. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure that your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. Just go to publishingperformance.com to get started with Amazon ads for just $1.